and welcome to Transcendental Transformation, the place where spirituality and transformation unite. Host Miss Raina imparts truth so that you can break through your limiting beliefs and evolve into a deeper consciousness. As you go about your day, remember, before every breakthrough, there is a breakdown. And now, let's start the show.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Transcendental Transformation. I'm your host, Miss Raina, and today is Tuesday, February 13th, 2018. We are coming live from the W4CY studios here in West Palm Beach, and I hope everyone has had an amazing week. Well, this weekend we have a softball tournament. I am so excited because let me tell you something. Usually for a softball, I have to travel all over the place, and it's always far, and I have to either get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and drive early because our games are always at 8 o'clock in the morning, and drive for an hour or an hour and a half to 2 hours and stuff, or sometimes I got to go across the states and get a hotel. But actually this one's in my own backyard. Yes, it's out here in West Palm Beach, close to where I live. It only takes me a couple minutes to get there, and I am excited because that means I get to go home, do my stuff, and rest in between games. If I need food or whatever, I have it right there, and so I'm all excited. But this is going to be fun because I am playing with a new team for this tournament. It's a team that I've, through a couple friends and everything like that, I decided to help them out for this tournament. So I'm always excited to help out new teams and see what, the tournament has to offer. But, I got to tell you, I don't know how about you guys, but I have not been sleeping well. I don't know if it's, some type of moon phase or if it's some type of energy shift or whatever, but, I was doing great there. I was sleeping well. I was, my clock was going from 11 p.m. all the way till 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, sometimes even later, and I was getting full rest. Now I've been going to bed and falling asleep at 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, then sleeping until 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it has just been screwing up my whole day. And so I've been working really late, so I don't know what's going on, but if anything's going on with you, let me know, because it just seems weird. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day. I know some of you are dreading it because it's a Hallmark day. It's a made-up holiday by corporations to tell us that we need to buy things in order to show appreciation to others. But, these holidays are also, to me, holidays should be done all year round. I am not a holiday person, if you know me well. I always feel that, we should tell our loved ones and show our loved ones that we care about them all year round. And not just material items, not just gifts and everything like that, but just, using our words, affection, doing things for people, just showing them the little things that make things count. But if you are single, I know a lot of you single people who are currently working on yourselves, who may have a little insecurity or may have a little bit of depression or anything. Don't let this, made up holiday get you down. You have to realize how amazing you are and how special you are, and just because you're single, that doesn't mean anything. A lot of times holidays are rough for people. It's a higher rate of suicide when it comes to around Yule time or New Year's or Valentine's Day. Those holidays sometimes remind us, it plays on our emotions and our insecurities, and it tricks us into thinking that we're not good enough, or maybe something's wrong with us, and that's why everyone else has a relationship and we don't. But life is more than relationships, And I hope if you've been listening to the show for the last 5 years, I hope that you're starting to understand that and you've grown with the show. If you're new to this show, well, then I hope that soon you'll keep with us and you'll start understand that, because you are amazing, you are wonderful, you are loved and perfect the way you are. So, Chad, how are you doing? How was your weekend this week?
I'm doing well. I'm sleeping fine.
Are you really?
Yeah, but there were, I don't know, maybe it was like 3 weeks ago where I had that little moment where, I don't know, your body just feels it's on super caffeine. Your mind just keeps thinking. You can't get comfortable in the bed. So, yeah, I've been down that road. But overall, I usually sleep pretty darn good. The weekend was pretty darn good as well. We had 3 gigs, but had to cancel one. Heather wasn't feeling good. So we ended up playing in Boca, and then we played Lake Worth on Sunday. And it was well balanced. A couple days off, a couple days working. So.
How's Heather doing now?
It was good. It was just one of those weird things. She says, babe, got the chills and the shakes and stuff. I need to get in the bathtub. I think I got the flu. I had one of those phases come on her, but it left probably within, I don't know, 48 hours there.
Wow,
so
really? Oh, that's good. That's good. Well,
so
I'm
we got
sorry.
two last gigs in just fine.
Oh, good. Well, I'm sorry to hear that she got sick for a little bit, but I'm glad she got healthier. So.
Thank you very much. She's fine.
Oh, what do you got going on for this week?
This week, we got the Thursday in Fort Lauderdale Beach, and then on I'm lost there. Saturday, we're at a place called the Anchor Inn in Lantana. And then on Monday, which I usually never play, we're going to go back to Boca West Country Club. They got a big barbecue for the ballroom. There's usually like 300-400 people to come in, kids, and we do it every year. So. Oh,
nice. Where did you say in Fort Lauderdale? 'Cause that's new, right?
No, we've been there, I don't know, 2 years maybe now. It's a place called Aruba Cafe. If you got on the 95 and got off at Commercial and drove all the way to where it hit the beach.
Oh, okay, yes.
It'd be right there. Aruba Cafe, big old red letters shining.
Oh, nice. Well, I wish you guys the best of luck, and I hope a lot of people come out to see you.
Sounds good. Thank you. On with the show.
That's all right. I get lost a lot, too. A lot of times when I'm doing the show, that's why I always keep my papers with me, because I always seem to, sometimes I have mind blanks, and that's just part of life, right?
You're not alone.
Right. So let's get into tonight's show. Oh, actually, let's get into tonight's show. If you want to give us a call us at 561-623-9429. You can web chat us on the W4CY.com website. Download the W4CY radio app. And as always, we are coming live from Periscope right now. If you join Periscope, it's an app, and find Transcendental 13, and we're on right now, and you could also see past shows. And as always, we are recording live for the YouTube channel for the archive at youtube.com/Transcendental Transformation. So let's get into tonight's show, because tonight, a long time ago, way back in the day, I did a show. Actually, when was that day that I did the show? Back in August of 2015, I did a show called To Heal Your Life with the Power of Positivity. And, and when I first started doing this show, of course, I touched on a lot of topics, and I introduced things as the way we as a society talk about things. And, I introduced ideas that go around that are passed in the spiritual and life coaching communities and everything. And one of them I've always heard of is the power of positivity, how we live our lives with positive thoughts and positive ideas, and, to get away from the negative. And I already know the listeners that if you're longtime listeners, you know where I'm going with this, with my no words. And the reason why I decided to bring this show back out was because I wanted to transform this show. If you're new to the show, I want you to go on my website, soulandspiritguide.com, search for it, and it's probably was uploaded around August 18th of 2015. It was one of the first shows we did, and I want you to realize that what I want to do is I want to transform this. I want to take it deeper, since we already know that society teaches us a lot of restrictions, a lot of conditionings, a lot of ideas that limit our way of thinking. And when we get past it, we realize that a lot of the way we think, to our lives creates the chaos. Because once you start to advance, once you start to look past and think for yourself and start thinking past what people told us, then all of a sudden you start to realize that a lot of these thoughts and ideas that we have are kind of mediocre thinking. We really don't question things. Unfortunately, our brains are the type of things that are conditional. And so what that means is that, we hear something enough, we believe it's true. It doesn't have to be true, but if we hear something enough and people around us say, yes, that's true enough, our mind truly believes it is true. And, and the power of positive thinking is something that goes around, or just positive thinking, negative thinking, all this stuff, good, bad, right, wrong, are all these ideas and concepts in life that a lot of times that we live by. A lot of us, we think we live by even. A lot of us try to have a positive outlook in life. We try to fight the good fight. So many of us will go head to toe, fighting for these causes, to fight corruption, and I use politics a lot because because it's so well versed. If you're a Republican, you fight against Democrats because you believe that side's right. If you're a Democrat, then you fight against Republicans because you believe your side right, or whatever that's going on. Even, into change, I do a lot of things where I sign a lot of petitions and everything, and I could see the ideas of positive and negative and good versus bad fighting. You got to sign this petition to stop this from happening and blah blah blah, and we get lost in these ideas because we don't understand truly what these ideas are about. And so a lot of times we become, even if you believe in these ideas, you become the very thing that you're fighting against. And that's why I always say, if you hold on to an idea so strongly that you become blind and hateful towards it, then you are the very idea that you're fighting against, and thus you're fueling the same idea. And so we really have to look and change our idea, change our perspective, because it's time for us to grow up. As humanity, we know we're very in our infant stage, but we are finally maturing. We are finally getting into we're finally maturing into a stage where we can start thinking for ourselves and start understanding things. That's why the generations that are coming in today have no interest in the things that we have interest in. They have no interest in all the politics that we fight over, all the wars that we fight over. They don't have interest in religion or form things of spirituality. They don't, because they're more sensitive than us. They're looking at things and they're saying, well, why are you guys fighting over this stuff? Why do you guys care if someone is African American or gay or transgendered or whatever? And they really don't. And that's because of all these ideas. They're not trained and they're sensitive enough to realize that the ideas that I teach with my no words, really create the judgment in that. And so when you look at things, you kind of got to ask yourself, do you really, if you're going to look at it and say, well, I live a positive life, Miss Raina, well, but do we really? Do we really? Because a lot of times, I was talking to a student of mine today, and we were talking about the ego and how it loves to trick us. Because our ego will trick us into believing anything and everything. Because without going into the id, the super id, and all that stuff, I always break down the ego into two parts, and I always say, well, there's the victim and the survivor, because everyone knows what a victim is, and everyone knows what a survivor is. And a lot of times, the survivor side of the ego tricks us into believing that we're positive and we're right and that's wrong and we're really doing and we're really good people. And not to say that we're bad people or that we're, but a lot of us get really caught up in these ideas and create chaos, create anger, and fuel the things that we're trying to fight against. And so when I ask yourself to, and I want you to sit and take a moment, if I were to ask you, are you positive, do you think you have this idea of this positive outlook to you? Because many people will say yes, but then they'll go and fight and they'll make fun of somebody, or they'll go on social media and get caught up in craziness, or they'll flick someone off driving and stuff, but then they'll turn around and say, yes, I live a positive life, yes, I do this, I do all these things, I'm in the right, and blah blah blah. And it doesn't seem like we're going in that direction. So when many people who look or struggle for positive are usually people that are emotionally distraught or emotionally reactive. When we're emotionally distraught, that's when we really realize that something has to change. And this is why, even though our emotions aren't real, the experiences behind the emotions are. And so when we have when we're emotionally distraught, that means there's some form of chaos that has created due to our judgments based on an idea that we thought was going to work in our favor. And so when those ideas don't work in our favor, and they rattle these ideas of good versus bad, positive and negative, and all these different things, then that's what happens when we become chaotic and we start to search for the answers. Because whether people are that emotionally reactive or anything like that, we have to start looking past that. Physical pain, a lot of times people say, I had friends that when people are looking for that positivity, or they're looking for that change, they're looking for somewhere to be led, or the path to go down, and because physical pain changes our way of thinking. And we've also known, and we're not going to get into too much of the scientific thing, but we've known that physical pain alters the way we think and feel and our perception about life. And so, and then that weighs on us. It becomes tiresome, and it makes us, it disrupts our mental patterns. And as you were, as not you, but as me, I even said, I haven't been sleeping. And then as I was saying that, and I was talking to Chad here for a minute, I realized that, my moods have changed because, I've been sitting at my house for a little bit because dealing with this illness and stuff. And even though I'm playing softball, I'm not really playing softball to my fullest and everything I can. And I'm trying to do my things, live my life. But when you're sitting at home a lot, restricted to a lot of things because you can't do too much, that's the type of idea that starts the pattern. And then your patterns start to change. And a lot of times people start, repeating these disruptive patterns, because what does the brain do? The brain works in patterns. And so we're looking at something and we're saying, well, because a lot of people say, well, my life never used to be like this. My life used to be more positive. It was better. It used to go in a forward direction, but now it's standing still. It's stale. It doesn't do anything, and I just feel like I'm repeating the same patterns all over. And then all of a sudden because what happens is once we have this idea of staleness or repetitiveness come in, what ends up happening is we create new patterns for us to be in those. And so when we look at things and we have to shift things, a lot of times I'll sit there and I'll say, well, let's take a step back from all these ideas. Let's take a step back from the way we really want to think, and let's take a look at our life. Because, positive thinking for a lot of people is, if I walk up and I say, okay, what do you think about positive thinking? Some people say, yeah, I think it's great, blah, blah. Other people say, oh, that's very new agey. That's spiritual. I'm not into spiritual. I rely on this person or this idea to give me what I want and all that stuff. Or some people just flat out say, that's mystical nonsense or whatever. And, and this is why, that there's so much confusion and so much chaos to these ideas, is because depending on what we're conditioned to is dependent on how we're going to perceive things. And when we do that, that means we are going to be limited to new or open ideas. And when someone rejects the idea, I know a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people, I've been to a lot of networking events and everything, and people will be like, yeah, I'm really positive, blah, blah. And then someone will make a comment downing that type of idea. And you could see it transforms the room, kind of people, and especially if they're not truly, on that path. It transforms their mind and brings out all their chaos. It brings out everything. And a lot of confusion happens because, if we have this idea, a lot of people will sit there and say, well, Miss Raina, I want to attract, I'm trying to use the law of attraction. I'm trying to use positive thinking. I'm trying to use all these things to get what I want in my life. And that's where, and that's where things have to shift, because law of attraction is different than the idea of positive thinking or the power of positivity. Positivity, if we want to use the words for S and G's, positivity is more than just a theory. It's a way of life, and it's more than just thinking. And that's why I say, there's really no such thing as positive and negative. It's just the ideas of lessons being transferred there. If you view something, subjectively, and you say, okay, well, I'm going to see how this fits into my life, and I do these things, and and I'm not going to become emotionally attached to it, then it's neither positive or negative. But the minute you go into something and you say, oh, I'm going to put an emotion based on this, then you create this idea of positive and negative, because it gives you an experience. It's a way of identifying what your experiences are. And when you have this idea of this is the way I want my life to be, then anything that's not that idea becomes chaos, because it's not positive. And then can we really heal ourselves? Can we really, are we really healing ourselves when we shift to that side, or are we not? Because if I say, well, what is positivity? You'll say, oh, positive is having a great attitude in life. It's a way of life, it's about caring for yourself, and it's about, and you're right. It's everything we do. We have to have an awareness of ourselves. We have to feel good about ourselves, and we have to be able to understand who we are. We have to, develop confidence. But a lot of people will say, well, Miss Raina, well, how do I look at my life if so many things have gone wrong and I just feel bad all the time, then how do I get on the track of this idea? And this is why these are my no words, because, you're chasing. I always consider my no words like a dog chasing its tail. You don't know what you're going for. You don't know why you're going for it. All you know is if I get this tail, I'm going to get something. I don't know what it is. And it's all this excitement. And then all of a sudden you realize a lot of times, there's so many chaotic ways to get to it that you don't end up getting to it at all. And so you have to start looking at your life. And these are important concepts, because if I say, well, it's a way of life, what does a way of life mean to you? I can relay it to ideas of health, right? You can either go on a diet or you can have a lifestyle change. What do you think is going to work, more in your favor long term? A diet or a lifestyle change? And so that's the same thing. And this is why so many people do not understand or can't get to that, get to the on top of the mountain, is because we don't want to put in the work. We really don't. We want an idea of a god or goddess or a universe or a pill or whatever to do it for us. But in reality, you have to do this for you. You have to have just a conscious shift of awareness. And basically what it comes down to is making up your mind. I don't know how many times I tell people all the time that you have to learn to make up your mind in order to find the path that you want. All right, everybody, we will be right back after these messages from the Life of Raina.
A message from the Life of Raina. We live in a world faced with many tough challenges. Our lives become chaotic and filled with disaster ever so quickly, most of the time before we even realize. Our issues beat down our mental mindset, and an imbalance of emotions become prevalent. The Life of Raina is dedicated to helping people on the deepest spiritual level. Miss Raina, the creator of Transcendental Development and Growth, works on your core issues and finds the solutions which allow you to break free from the emotional bondages of life, helping you achieve the life you've always wanted to live. Isn't it time that you lived life for you? Call the Life of Raina, 561-846-2190, and schedule your appointment today. That's 561-846-2190. Or email thelifeofraina@icloud.com.
Okay, everybody, we are back. You are listening to Miss Raina on Transcendental Transformation. Please give me a call if you have any questions, 561-623-9429, or web chat me. I am on the website right now at w4cy.com. All right, we are having a continuation from an old show that I did back in 2015 called to Heal Yourself with the Power of Positivity. And, and so what we were talking about before the break is understanding that it's a way of life. And a lot of people will sit there and as I said, we have to be able to shift that consciousness. So a lot of people will sit there and say, well, Miss Raina, I really did try to think positive. I really tried to have the positive thoughts. I got tired of running. I got tired of having a stale life. I got tired of my repeat patterns. But I'm going to tell you something that, this idea, even though of positivity, even though it's not real, it's more than just a thought. And this is why we're having confusion, because, we can think something. The brain is stupid. The brain really is. Even though, we have our logical thinking up here, the brain is stupid. The heart is really where all the deep thought comes from, all the intuition and everything. And that's really where most of your critical thinking comes from. And this is why, because so many people are sitting there trying to understand, well, if I think this, because I've been told if I think this way, this is going to happen. And they're doing it for reward or punishment type deal, or to get something out of it. but it's a feeling. You have to get away from thoughts. It's a feeling. It's a way of life. You have to engross yourself into feeling that way. And even on my show, the show that I did about law of attraction, I told you, the brain is just the creation. It's like the flint of a lighter, and the lighter fluid is the heart energy that's pot. And in order for a flame to create, you need the fuel to fire, to fuel the flint in order to have a flame. And it's the same thing with this concept. Get away from those words, good, bad, positive, negative, right, wrong, better, worse, backwards, forwards. Get rid of those words out of your vocabulary and start to see things as the way life is. And so start to feel things. Say, okay, if this is the life that I want to do, and I'm going to get away from the word positive, and I'm going to get away from the word negative, because every time something's not positive, it becomes negative. And what do? You get angry. You start to judge. You start to feel let down. You feel like you failed. You feel all these inconsistencies with life. And so get away from those words and start to feel it is what you want. And a lot of times I'm going to tell you, you're going to struggle with this, because at first your brain's going to say, because it's been conditioned to ideas, so it's going to fight you. The ego is not going to go down without a fight. And so what it's going to want to do, it's going to want to hold on to those patterns. So you have to have the strength. You have to believe in yourself enough to want to make that change. Because if you don't, then you're always going to see in your mind failure. You're always going to try, and then something's going to come up to sabotage it. And I know so many people that say that. I've had so many students walk through my doors over the years and say, Miss Raina, one of my biggest challenges is, I'm on the path, everything's great, I'm thinking positive, I'm doing the right thing, I'm going down the forward in the path, and then all of a sudden something always gets in my way. And they're like, I don't know what it is. And I laughed. I said, it's you. You're the one who gets in your way. There's something about the pattern, because, it's easy to do a diet. It's easy to do something for maybe a couple days to a week because you're excited. And at first you really believe that you want to do it. But again, the ego is not going to go down without a fight. It's going to give you your space for a minute, say, haha, let her have fun. But it's 9 o'clock. Come back in. It's time to go to bed. And that's what it does. And it controls us. And so our repeat patterns have to be worked out. And this is why the thought of an idea of positive thinking is mediocre, because you have to be able to transform it into a feeling to understand what it is you really want. What is it that you want? Okay, so you want to heal your life. Well, what part of life do you want to heal? I mean, you're using a concept that we really don't truly understand. We think that positivity is words. Oh, yes, I'm going to say good, and I'm grateful, and I'm this, and my life is just going to transform. It doesn't work that way. So what is it that you really want to transform? What is it that you really want to work on? I mean, are you one of those that deal with depression, maybe have anxiety? Do you have hopelessness? Do you think that life is impossible? Do you always have, in your mind, terrible relationships? You notice, you see all the judgment words I'm using, right? You see all the limitations and the roadblocks, because we're viewing life as either good, bad, right, or wrong. And so if we don't have the life we want instead of the life we have right now, then we view it as something negative, and therefore it's not positive, thus the chaos. Are we understanding? So what is it that you want to change? What is it that you really want to change? And you have to know it, because otherwise, like I said, you're like a dog chasing your tail, running around, and you're never going to get that tail. And how frustrating is that? I believe in all of you 100%. Without a doubt, I believe in all of you 100% to be able to do this. But you have to want it. No one's going to do it for you. No God, goddess, universe, no law of attraction, nothing is going to do it for you until you decide that you're going to do it, that you're going to put feeling into it, and that you're going to make an honest effort. And I don't mean just a week, but when you get to that disbelief, and you always get to that disbelief, like I said, our lives fade, it becomes joyless. I mean, who likes to live like this, right? And then we deem this negative. Because hey, if our life is negative, if it's joyless and it's stale, staleness. Did you know when you create the idea of staleness, or when your life is stale, did you know that you actually create the false ideas of disbelief, disharmony, and even illness? And why? Why would I say that? Because what is energy? Energy, it doesn't matter if you're spiritual, religious, everything is energy. Science has proven that. Everything right now is energy. So why does staleness create this? Because energy has to move. And it doesn't matter if it's in your organ, if it's your blood, if it's a thought of consciousness, if it's a feeling, because it's all the same. And so when you create this false idea of staleness due to negativity or going backwards, then all of a sudden what happens is a disharmony happens within inside your body. And then you become ill. And anytime you stop movement, because what is cancer? Cancer is hot, stagnant energy that doesn't move. And what do they do to destroy cancer? They blast it till it blows up until it starts moving again. What does Eastern medicine do? Oriental medicine, herbology and stuff. What does acupuncture do? It starts to move the energy. When energy flows and everything gets what it needs, the life flourishes. And this is the same concept, because there's no moving forward. There's no, going backwards. Your life is happening the way it needs to for you to grow and understand who you are in this lifetime. And the sad thing is you have built a life because of our family, because of our school systems. I mean, seriously, it's going to sound nuts, but I really would love to see the school systems completely rewritten, because we are just pumping kids in and out to learn, what the curriculum tells you, but they're not teaching you about life. And, you know how to do a job, but you don't know how to handle life. And that's why there's so many people running around like they don't know what to do. And you get there and, and even therapists. I mean, I don't know how many therapists I talk to that they listen to people all the time, but they need the therapist too, because we don't know how to handle life. A book isn't going to tell you, no book that you're going to read is going to tell you how to handle life. They may give you clues. They may say, change your life in 10 steps. And then you read the book and all of a sudden you're sitting there and you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to try this. And it kind of works. Maybe it works for some people, but, a lot of people it doesn't, or whatever. And so, and these are the ideas that we have to do. So I want you right now to make a promise to yourself that all these ideas, we're just going to delete them. We're just going to say, you know what, no more. Miss Raina, her no words are there for a reason. We're going to delete these ideas of judgment. I'm going to delete the idea that I know exactly why my life should be this way, or what kind of life it is. That doesn't mean, we can't have goals or anything like that, but you are trying to create something that's not meant to be right now. And sometimes, as I always say, what's the old saying that they say, enjoy the ride, or when you're on a cruise, enjoy the scenery, whatever it is. And that's about life too. We're trying to find something. We're trying to find these ideas. And did you know it takes more energy trying to be positive than just being in the now? Did you know it takes a lot more energy and a lot more mental and emotional energy, and physical too, to try to be something that you're not? You're trying to be positive. You're trying to move forward. You're trying to be good. You're trying to do the right thing instead of just being you. You already know what to do. You already know what to do. But the fact of the matter is you don't believe you know what to do. Your life, as I said, is going here. And that's the funny thing is all of us sit there. We put on masks, right? Each one of us want to be cool. We want to be liked, and we want to fit in. We want to look like we know it all. We want to look at all these things instead of just being you. And I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you from firsthand, when I was younger, I used to want to be like that. I was like that. And I was exhausted all the time. And I would be like, why am I so exhausted? And Laura would sit there and say to me, because you're not being you. And I'd be like, whatever. I was a punk teenager at the time, or, in middle school. And I was like, what do you mean? I'm being me. You can't tell me what to. And then when I realized, I'm putting on a mask every single day to try to impress people, to try to prove that I'm smart, to try to, make my parents happy, or this person happy, or try to fit in and stuff like that. And all these ideas. And it's the same thing with these ideas. You're trying to prove to yourself that you're a good person, that you're doing right, that you're you're trying to do these, and in that same sense, you're becoming emotionally distraught. And so that's prone to emotional outbursts. When you don't have control on yourself, when you're trying to live a life that you don't that you don't fully understand, or these ideas that you fully don't understand, then, of course, you become emotionally outburst. And why do I say we become emotionally reactive? What is the point of that? Because if we're having less energy, if we're spending all this energy, the energy has to go someplace. And so what happens is, because we're truly not happy, because we're truly not positive in that sense, when that we're pretending to be positive, and eventually all that frustration, all that energy has to move. And that's when we blow our top, because we believe, how many people have sat there and said, oh, well, yes, you have to, you just have to blow everybody off. No matter what happens in life, you have to just blow them off and turn the other cheek. I was told that all the time. And I found myself so frustrated, because, it was like, I was like, well, I'm just pushing things down and pushing things down and pushing things out and holding it to the point where I wasn't dealing with it. And being positive in that sense is not about just ignoring life and just not letting anything bother you, because that's a false sense. That doesn't make sense. You have to learn to deal with at hand. You have to learn to understand the past. You have to be able to learn and get past. You're confused in life because you're unsure of what's going on inside you, instead of getting to know you. You may hate the world or people and want to become a loner, and it's not really you. It's not really them. It's you. You don't trust you. You don't, you're upset. You're hurt. And so therefore you take it on in the world. And how can we be positive, or how can we heal our life with, or change our life with any form of idea, if this is what we do? And forget relationships. Relationships, what do? We sabotage those. We blow them up. How many of us bounce from the same person to the same person, and we always date the same chaotic person, and then we just slap ourselves in the head? And some of us have some of us have had relationships where they're like, well, my life was chaotic until I met this person, then everything changed, and this person was a blessing, and blah blah blah, and all that stuff. And again, that's a false sense too. Why? Because without that person, you're becoming codependent. You haven't truly worked on things. Without that person, if that person goes away, you fall apart and you don't know what to do. And so all these ideas are tricking ourselves. Our ego, our survivor, our victim, especially our survivor, trick us into thinking that we're positive or good or right or moving forward, or we're, we finally found the way, and this is the truly way. And this is why we believe in our beliefs so strongly. Because without our belief systems, then who are we? Without these concepts, then who are we? And if I want to heal myself, if I want to stop all this chaos, then who are we? And that's when we're the first to quit something. If we truly want something, we'll find a way for it. If you truly want to lose weight, you'll do it. If you truly want help, no matter how much money, how much time, how much effort, you'll do it. And that's why, I've had a lot of students in my day, and I've seen many of them last. I've seen a few of them quit right away. And the ones that quit all the way are the ones that right away tell me that they really don't want it. But I hear, one of the things I hear a lot of times is when I go out and I talk to people, I'm a very good listener, even though I'm mostly deaf in both ears. I'm a very good listener because I hear vibrations. I watch people's mannerisms. I watch their eyes jump. I watch how they twitch and their facial expressions. And the funny thing is that, I hear people talk about positivity. Oh yes, and they teach it. They'll create a radio show or a seminar and all this stuff, and they'll say, oh yes, I'm this, but then they're insecure about this. They have they don't know, they have abusive relationships. They do all these other things to show them that they're not there. And so they're teaching concepts. There's a lot of teachers out there. There's a lot of people that talk about these ideas that truly don't understand it. And you'll hear something that they say, oh yeah, an idea of positivity, an idea of healing, an enlightened idea. And then by the same sense, they'll follow it with a stagnant sentence. And that tells you right away, if you truly listen to people, if you truly listen to your own words, you'll hear yourself. You'll hear yourself, because when you really mean something, you'll hear the tone, you'll feel the feeling difference, everything will change. But if you watch somebody and they're unsure and they're just telling you because that's what they've heard 10,000 times by other people, because hey, you know what? If we've heard it 10,000 times, or if it's on the internet or on TV or in a magazine, it must be true, right? And so, and they'll do that. But if you watch them, you'll hear so many people contradict. And I personally, and I'm honored. I am honored that people trust me with their lives. I really am. I'm so honored with that. But you don't know how many people I've had that are coaches and psychiatrists and, all these things that come to me and say, you know what, Miss Raina, I could never let anyone know, but these are the things and stuff. And I want to tell you something, because there's a point to that, is if you're on whatever path you are to healing, or to transforming your life, or to changing your life to what you want one day, then you have to allow yourself room for error. And not in the error sense of making mistakes and failing and stuff, because I don't believe in that, but room to let yourself be human. You're not going to know everything. I mean, I don't even know everything. I don't want to know everything. I would go insanely nuts knowing everything. It would drive me insane to know everything about everything before it even happens, and it would just drive me insane. But allow yourself to be human. Allow yourself for room for error. Allow yourself to what I always say to everybody, like, allow yourself to be the student. Remember when we were all in school, the pressure, there was no pressure, right? Because you were just enjoying being a student. You listened to the teacher, you got to meet your classmates and, have gym and lunch and all that other stuff and find all these interesting things. And there was no pressure on you. Now you're putting so much pressure on you to be this idea, to be this person, to be this role model, because you're trying to fulfill that idea, because you don't want to be in the place that you are. But you have to learn to love yourself in that sense. And that's really what healing, if you want to use the term, healing with the power of positivity, that's what it's really about, is finding who you are and loving that person inside of you as is. Because hey, I still have anxiety. I still go through depression, not as close to what I used to, because a lot of the stuff that I do, but it pops up. And when it does pop up, I don't sit there and say, oh, well, I'm Miss Raina, I'm a spirit guide, I should be over this stuff. No, because everything that comes into my life is for a reason. Maybe I've overworked myself and my body goes into depression to shut me down, to say, hey, it's me time. You need to take care of yourself for a while. Maybe, I get anxiety for something because I need to go someplace else because of this or that. You don't know why your body's doing it, but because I know who I am, I listen to it, and I don't have shame. Hey, since I've been a little ill, I've been very moody. I know my, Caleb has gotten the brunt of it, and he's probably laughing right now. But I have been. I haven't been all kumbaya, Miss Raina. I've been very moody because, I'm in a lot of discomfort. I don't feel well all the time, and I'm getting healthier, but and so I'm allowing myself to be the patient. I'm allowing myself not to be Miss Raina, always on fire. I'm allowing myself to be human, to recoup, to treat myself in a loving way so that I can heal. And that's not positive. That's not negative. I'm not doing the right thing. That's just me being me and allowing my acceptance of who I am to be able to do this. But you can't do it as long as you're going to be conditioned to it, as long as you're going to believe that all these other ideas are going to do it for you. No, it's great being a healer. And I know a lot of you healers, I'm going to get the emails. I already see the emails coming. And being a healer is wonderful, but a lot of healers are healing because they need healing inside, and they're doing it for egotistical reasons. And a healer can only do so much for you at certain levels, because a lot of people don't understand the truth of healing. Yes, a healer, when we get to our evolution, we will be able to physically heal one another without the aid of that person. Because right now we all say, well, we don't really do the healing, they do the healing. And And honestly, that's not true. We can heal each other, but our idea yet is too young. So but we have to be able to shift from that. No healer is going to be able to do that. I mean, they can put energy on you, do maracas and incense oils and all that stuff, and it won't do anything. You can go to church and have a priest baptize you, drown you in water for 2 minutes, and it's not going to do anything unless you take the time and really want to be able to change that. Because if you're sitting there and saying, well, I don't deserve it, I'm not worthless, then you're not going to heal. Because it's that stagnant energy. It's not a negative energy. It's not a bad energy. You're stagnating your body from living. You're stagnating your consciousness from growing, from moving. It's like putting on the brakes. It's like grabbing. Remember when we were kids and we would grab the hose and bend it, and all the water would build up, and then when you let it go, it comes out really hard and fast and everything. That's exactly what you're doing with your body. When you are shutting yourself down because you need an idea to believe in order for it to do it for you, or because you don't feel you're worth it or you don't love yourself, you're grabbing your hose and squeezing it until the water pressure backs up, and then it always comes out and blows up in our face. So many people do that. And so I have about 5 minutes left. So the one thing that I want to talk about really quick, because I think I got mostly everything. The one thing that I want to talk about really quick is the life review. And I know I've said this on my other shows, and I will constantly say it. I do it with all my students and everything, is I want you to do a life review at least every 6 months. I do it every 3, 6, and year. And that, so I always, every year I go through and I see, all my friends, what's going on with my friends? Has my energy changed with my friends? Are we gelling? Are we going, with my work? Hey, I've been doing a lot of life reviews with the radio show and everything like that. And, and there's going to be some announcements coming up in the next couple of weeks as what's going on with that. And, there's a lot of things. And so I look at things and saying, okay, what's stagnating? What's gelling with me? If there's something that's stagnating, either I have to transform with it or I have to let it go. That's not mean it's bad. That doesn't mean it fails. And the things that are working, that doesn't mean my friends are positive and these ones are negative and this and that. No, it's not. It just means that what direction do I want to go in? In the life review, I take a piece of paper or a book and I write down, with my friends and with my thing. And it's kind of like, analyzing your life. But I see where the blockages are. It helps me do that. And I do a whole life review from A to Z, everything, family, sister, friends, work, everything, you name it, where I eat, my health, everything, my gym, everything that I do. And even during this time of illness, I have done a life review like I haven't done in a long time because I've had nothing but time. But and I want you, and affirmations, I hear people saying, well, what about affirmations? Affirmations are okay, but again, they're just words. It's the same thing as the thoughts. You can think, that's great, all you want, but if there's no fuel behind it, you could sit there and say, wow, I really love myself, till you're blue in the face. But if you don't truly believe it or feel it or make a conscious effort, if you're saying, yeah, I love myself, but at the same time, you're saying, I suck. Well, then that's not really working. That's not really being the effort. And the affirmations are useless at that point. So, smile more, try to go out. One of the things that I always tell people to do is get involved in helping, volunteering things for causes, help the homeless, help people, help children that are, come from abusive families or people with cancer or whatever, help people in need, and not because you want to feel good, but because you know that that's the direction that you want to go in for that your life to go smoothly or flow in that direction, because that's how we transform. Remember, when we're doing things for our ego, life is going to stagnate. If your life ever stagnates, no matter if you're volunteering or doing charity work or whatever, and it just always, the only thing you're doing it is for the way you feel, well, then that's not true. Do it for an honest way, and you'll start to see yourself heal because you're sharing your energy, you're moving your energy, you're allowing your energy to flow. All right, everybody, that is tonight's show. I got 1 minute to do all my outro, so thank you so much for joining me. We have a special guest, Julie Seaver, on our show next week, so stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for our social media and follow us at facebook.com/Transcendental Transformation. Visit my website, soulandspiritguide.com, and sign up for the newsletter to receive VIP access to the website and special guest offer. And email me at transcendentaltransformations@gmail.com. Make sure you visit the W4CY.com website, and always remember to believe in yourself, and it's not our abilities or our talents that make us who we are, but it is our choices. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.